Now remember, I'm going to say again, you're not gluing your sticks to the drawing. You're gluing your sticks to the other sticks. So don't make that mistake. First of all, we'll be using our full 12 inches. These sticks are 12 inches long. We'll be using our full 12 inches on the bottom of the side and the sides of the bottom. And here we have our pin caddy. Our pin caddy is we're going to pin our pieces to our drawing, and one thing that I see a lot of kids doing is they try to push that pin in with their finger, and that's really kind of painful. What really works well is just to take the ruler and push down like so. A lot less painful. And we'll pin the other one. Another mistake that I see kids making is they put their pins too close to the ends and it splits their wood out. Notice I'm putting these pins about an inch from each end. There we go, and then we've got the shorter one here across the top, and what I'm going to do there is I'm going to use my X-Acto knife and I'm going to cut that to length. I'm going to mark it there, and then I have this cutting mat, and the cutting mat is much better to cut on than the cardboard. You'll just sit there and poke holes in your cardboard trying to cut, but if you use a cutting mat you can cut without messing up that cardboard. Now, there's a certain technique to cutting the angle pieces, and let me show you how to do that on one of them. We're going to take one piece. I'll turn this sideways. Maybe you can see a little bit better if I turn it sideways. And I'm going to lay that piece in there, overlapping on the top, and I'm going to put my, kind of zoom in a little bit here, and I'm going to put my knife so that it's parallel with the top piece. Bring my cutting mat over and cut it. There, it's at just the right angle. Then I'm going to go down to the bottom one, and I'm going to hold that knife so that it's parallel with the bottom piece. And then I'm going to make my cut. And the piece will fit in either way, either that way, or you can spin it and turn it that way. Both angles should be the same, and it fits just right between the two pieces. And let's go ahead and we're going to cut all those for that, and we're going to glue them in place. We're going to put a little dab of glue right on the end there, on each end, and pin it in place. Let's take a look at what we're going to do for the bottom of our bridge. The bottom of our bridge, remember I told you that we're going to put a little bit beyond the ends. So I'm going to make a little etch there, and I'm going to cut my stick like so. So let me get this all glued up, and we'll meet back here in a few minutes. All right, you can see that I've put all my little railroad ties in place. Now I'm going to put a little dab of glue on each one of these joints where the railroad tie, or where the railroad rails are going to go. And you can see I'm not using a whole lot of glue. It doesn't take much glue to hold all this stuff in place. And you know, one of these bridges can go together fairly quickly. In fact, a lot of the pieces can stay in place simply with their own weight. You'll notice that I'm being very careful with the glue. I'm trying to get a minimum of glue on those joints so that I don't have glue all over my drawing. The less glue you get on your drawing, the better off you are. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to hold these two railroad rails in place with a couple of crisscross pins. So if you want to zoom in a little closer here, just take a look. You can see I'm crisscrossing the pins over the ends there. Two pins for each rail. And so most of this bridge is being held in place by a combination of crisscrossing the pins over the end and the weight of the pieces. I see a lot of kids using dozens and dozens and dozens of pins to hold their bridge together, and it really doesn't have to be that difficult. Now, this whole subassembly is held together with 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12 pins. And that's really all you need. You'll also notice that I have actually 3 layers. I have the bottom layer right here, then I have the ties for my railroad bridge up here, and then I have the rails for my bridge up here. And so just simply the thickness, the added thickness of the 3 layers is giving our bridge some more strength. I do see a lot of kids who waste a lot of time, and they'll make all these little joints. They'll cut a piece, you know, about that long, and they'll put that piece right in between there, and they'll glue that one little piece in there, and then they'll cut another 1-inch piece and stick it in, glue it in there, and they'll glue another one in, and they'll have this bridge right here that's 14, 15, 16, 17, 18 pieces right here. It's pretty simple. And I see some kids, they'll try to build something like this by doing 1, 2, 3 tiny pieces there, 1, 2, 3 tiny pieces there, 1, 2, 3 tiny pieces there. And it's just so time consuming to build a bridge that way. I hope you don't make the mistake of making too many cuts. Now, this bridge right here, the side view, notice I'm putting just a tiny dab of glue. It's just a tiny dab. And I am going to hold that in place with pins. And I'm not going to make the mistake of putting the pins too close to the edge. Now, as you recall earlier, I used my X-Acto knife like a scribe. I'm going to hold this. I'll see if I can hold it in such a way that you people can see what I'm doing. Make a little scribe mark. And then I'm going to go to the cutting mat and cut that right on the scribe mark. And then I'm going to make another little scribe mark. And we've got another piece. And we'll put the glue on the ends of the piece rather than all over the drawing. You don't want to see big puddles of glue on your drawing. Glue by itself does not have a lot of structural strength. So where a piece meets, I mean, you can see right there where those two pieces meet, there's a minimum of glue between there. So let me go through here and I'll put all these pieces in place and we'll be back in a few minutes. Now notice we have our diagonals running across right there in one direction. Now here's another mistake that I see a lot of kids make. It's a mistake that makes you use an incredible amount of time to build your bridge. I see kids cut a piece like this and they cut it like so. And then they put it in there and they glue it in place. And then they cut another piece for right here. And they put it in there. And then they glue those two separate pieces in place. This takes a lot of time. Very time consuming. You can cut your time way down, way down by cutting a piece and going to a second layer. Notice how I use the blade of the knife to basically mark where I'm going to cut. And then I go over to the board and make my cut. And there we go. Now this piece goes all the way from the top of this upper piece right there to the bottom of this lower piece right there, and it's tacked in three places. I only cut one piece of wood, and now I've got 1, 2 triangles right there. So let me go through here and I'll cut these and we'll be back in a few minutes.